Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this horror movie review as part of my 31 Horror Movies in May series. So, today, before we get started with today's movie that we're going to take a look at, I forgot a little housekeeping here. In my last video for this series, where I took a look at the Tales from the Dark Side movie, I forgot that I never gave it a rating because time got away from me on the video, so I had to wrap it up kind of abruptly. So, I just wanted to say that I'm giving Tales from the Dark Side the movie an 8 out of 10. It's a good anthology, not a great anthology, but a good anthology. So, in case you were wondering, you watched that video that's up on my channel, 8 out of 10 for Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we can get into today's video and the movie that we're going to take a look at. And um, when you do a 31 horror movie series, like I have, this is my third one now in my channel. You're going to run into some movies that you have in your collection that were either hand-me-downs you got as part of a collection or something that are not great, and that's kind of what we're running into today. But still going to go ahead and review it, of course. And the movie I'm talking about is it's kind of an animal or nature horror kind of movie, and that's from 2002. We're talking about Infested, Invasion of the Killer Bugs here. So yeah, I didn't know anything about this movie before I watched it for the first time here, Infested. But it is a 2002 movie, an R-rated movie. So yeah, let's just get into it. Per normal with the setup and the premise, which is going to be short, just like the movie. The cast, and then I'll get into my thoughts and review on the movie Infested from 2002. So the plot's pretty simple with this movie. It's um, basically when tragic circumstances bring five old friends back to their hometown, revisiting their favorite childhood vacation home seems like a great way to mourn the recent death in their lives. None of them, however, are privy to the fact that a mysterious colony of mutant flies have been breeding in the house during their long absence. Within hours of their arrival, the reunited friends become ill fated hosts of the fly's reproductive cycle. Once the eggs have been laid within their bodies, hope for survival is nil. So that's basically it. These old friends come back because of another friend of theirs passes away, so that brings them together, and they ended up staying at this vacation home, and madness ensues, basically, as you can imagine. So this is directed by Josh Olson. It is from 2002. The cast, most notably, we have Zach Galligan, who was Billy from the Gremlins movie. Lisa Ann Headley is Ellen, Daniel Jenkins is Stephen, and Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Power Ranger herself, is Jessie. Those are just the sort of the notable cast members in the movie. There's a few others, but so yeah, getting into my thoughts about this one. This is going to be a shorter review in case you can't tell. There's just not a whole lot to say about this movie, and I am somebody that enjoys like B-rated horror movies, like I said, nature movies, like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and things like that. This kind of fits into that category. Um, about killer bugs or um, yeah, it's basically what it is, killer flies in this case. This movie doesn't have a lot of pros, in my opinion. It's a pretty bad movie, even if you're looking at it as a B horror movie. I guess the ones that I'll just go through a few that I really had to search hard for to find good with this movie. Um, I'll go with a couple of the actors that stood out as Zach Galligan. I thought he was pretty good in the movie. I thought, and then also Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Power Ranger. I thought she really gave it her all in this movie. She was kind of she was really a badass in this movie, and I don't know, she kind of stood out over the others, partly because she's like the main character, you might say, and but I think she also knew what kind of movie she was in, and like I said, her character was a real badass in this movie, so despite all the bad that was going on around her. And I'm not talking about the horror of the killer flies. I'm talking about all the bad in the movie. I thought Amy Jo Johnson did a pretty good job. So also, the song Two Tickets to Paradise, which played during the opening credits for no reason whatsoever. But I'm still going to give it props because I just really like that song. I'm not sure why it was there, but I like the song. So the movie gets credit for that. There's a topless beach scene that didn't suck too bad early on in the movie. Um, Bringing that up, you can kind of tell that I was searching here. The blood and the gore when they have it and it's practical, aka Warren's leg infestation. Excuse me. Warren is played by Zach Galligan, of course. There's a scene where he's trying to pick, like he's infested with dead flies in his leg, and it's pretty graphic. It's a pretty good scene. I think it's practical effects where he's like digging these flies out of his legs. I think it's a pretty decent scene, one of the better scenes of the movie, which doesn't really say too much, but it's really gross and bloody, I thought. So and the final pro that I have for this movie is it's only 84 minutes long. So that's the best part about this movie, quite frankly, and in my opinion. Again, this is one of those movies that I got as part of like a couple other movies that I really wanted, and I had to take this one and another one that I have yet to watch as part of the package deal. I didn't pay. I think I paid $10 for four movies or something. This was one of the four. So it's not like I went out of my way to try to find this movie or anything. Talking about the cons for this movie, the plot, the writing, the annoying, thin cliche characters, the motivations of certain returning characters at the end of this movie, and that's about as much as I'll say because even though I'm not going to recommend this movie, I still don't want to spoil anything more than I have to. Most of the acting, like I said, with the exception of Amy Jo Johnson and Zach Galligan, most of the acting's bad. The directing is bad, the predictable ending. Um, but really, what makes this movie so bad, and I think it would actually be, I'm not saying it would be good, but if they didn't, the CGI effects having to do with with the the flies themselves, the killer flies, it's beyond laughable. I mean, it's like something. I mean, it's some of the worst CGI I've ever seen when they have like this, like a whole bunch of flies together coming out of people's bodies, going into people's bodies. It's just so laughable, so bad. I'm trying to think of anything I can try to compare it to, but I really can't, to be honest with you. It's just so bad. Also, all the things in the movie that don't add up, like oh, there's so much. I can't even doesn't make sense whatsoever. And again, that happens in horror movies, but this one it's particularly bad. Um Bad choreography within the fight and action scenes. Have I mentioned the CGI effects? They're really bad. Not believable whatsoever. This movie, the premise of it, the CGI of it, and therefore it's not scary in any way. Even though the idea is scary of, the invasion of killer bugs like this, even though it sounds ridiculous on the surface, it could actually work if the movie was competently made and the effects were more of a practical standpoint or not as bad CGI as it is. Also, the fact that they put the song "Da Da Da" in this movie as an actual plot device, not just in the movie, but it actually works as a plot device within the movie. I got to bring that up as a con from the commercial "Da Da Da." Finally, the CGI effects with the flies explode. The explosion as well at the end. There's an explosion that happens, and for some reason they show it over and over again. And when you have such bad effects, bad CGI, why would you show it more than once? Um, and anywhere else where they use CGI that, frankly, I can't remember because this movie's just it's very forgettable. So, as I said, the only thing that stands out about it's the really bad CGI, quite frankly. So, Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about it. This is just one of those bad movies from the early 2000s that relies too much on CGI, and for what they do with it, it's even worse than the fact that they just relied on CGI. It's yeah. I would not recommend watching Infested, Invasion of the Killer Bugs, if I were you, unless you want to have. I don't even know if you want to have a good laugh. If I would recommend, I am somebody that recognizes there's some movies that are so bad they're good, but then there's movies like this one where they're so bad they're bad, and I'll never rewatch this movie again. I really have no reason to, quite frankly. Um, so yeah, that's Infested, Invasion of the Killer Bugs from 2002. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. I'm not really sure why I'm giving it a 5. I guess it's the things that I mentioned: Amy Jo Johnson, Zach Galligan, the infested leg scene, a little bit of the blood and gore when they had it. Like a head, somebody loses their head at some point, and there's some squirting blood there that doesn't look too bad. And the fact that it's short enough that you don't really spend too much time with this movie, less than an hour and a half at 84 minutes long. Those are the things that at least give it a 5, I guess. 5 out of 10 for Infested. Go ahead and comment down below if you've watched this movie before, if you've seen it before. Infested from 2002. What you thought about it? Do you actually enjoy any parts of it? Um, be sure to like this video and hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos for this series. And be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my great horror content overall. So, yeah, like I said, when you do these 31 horror movies, not everything's going to be a gem. Not everything's going to be a 7 or better out of 10. You're going to get a few flops in here, especially as first time watches and horror movies that are kind of pawned off on you. So it's just par for the course. So this was just one of those particular movies. But thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it, even though it wasn't a great movie. But thank you for watching and stay scared. Bye.